Seats. What was the nursery school rhyme? All in our places with bright, shiny faces. If I could have everyone's attention so we can get started and get you back to the office or back home or back to a great afternoon on the greens, perhaps, depending on what you have planned today. While we are all getting settled, I want to make sure that as you look at your lunch, if anyone has any dietary restrictions, to please see our wait staff on the other side of the room, and we'll be happy to switch out what you may have. For those of you with gluten intolerances, the breadcrumbs are not gluten-free on the salad, so I'm going to ask you to take those off and put them to the side if you have a gluten allergy. I also need to ask you to do one more very, very important thing, and that is silence your cell phone for me, because I promise you, you're not going to want to be interrupted and miss a word of our speaker, Caitlin Partlow. But on behalf of everyone associated with ABC of NC, from the staff to the foundation and the board of directors, welcome to the 17th annual ABC of NC Gourmet Lunchbox Luncheon. This is one of my favorite days of the year, and I am a little biased, and I'll be happy to tell you why. My name is Michelle Butt. I am the president and general manager of WXII 12 and the Triad CW, the home of ACC football, for those of you that care. And I also have, like all of you in this room, a lot of other titles, wife and mom. My son Jackson is a graduate of ABC of NC, so I'm a proud alumnus mom. I am also the vice chair for the board of directors. And before we begin today, I want to take a minute to acknowledge what is happening in Western North Carolina, in the upstate of South Carolina, in Georgia, and in the Big Bend area of Florida. I don't think any of us are immune from what we are seeing on TV and the depths of grief we feel for watching beautiful parts of this state and other states where we all have family, friends, and vacation destroyed by what Mother Nature can do. I bring this up too in particular because it really is a testament to the importance of this luncheon, that you know that our speaker, Caitlin Partlow, and Lisa Lane, the executive director of Project Hope, traveled here from impacted areas of South Carolina around the Greenville area to be with us today. And that was not easy. As you all know, there are a lot of places still without running water and power, and roads are impassable. And to both Caitlin and Lisa, I offer my sincerest thanks for prioritizing today and being with us. I'm also really grateful for all of you that are here with us today, whether you're in person or joining us virtually. These are unprecedented times in our state with disaster recovery, and we all have lots of ways we get pulled in different directions, and so I appreciate you making today a part of your day. The event details are on page 5 of your program, so if you want to follow along with us, grab that. But what's not in your program is the name of the 2 winners of today's raffle. I want to announce those 2 folks. Each winner will receive a 4x8 customized brick, which is placed at the entrance of ABC of NC's CQ Clinic building. This is deeply meaningful to our staff and our students when they come into work every day. My family has a brick out there, and I know when I walk into the clinic building, I am reminded of how special this building and this place and the people in it are. So Donna is here to help me. Everybody say hi to Donna. All righty. Our first winner is, let's grab the glasses for this, ticket number 2382745. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Where are you? Right there. Excellent. Wave your hand. Everybody can see you. All righty. Next one. Okay, here we go. 2382746. That's wild. I pulled 45 and 46. 2382746. You had to have walked in the door after 45. Donna, do you see him? Okay, I tell you what, 46. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Oh, we got it. Okay, great. Fantastic. If you will, do me a favor, and you can find Donna over at the table, my left, your right. And she will, if you could provide her with your contact info so we can make sure we follow up with you. If you haven't started eating because you've been enjoying my pros, which thank you, but please don't enjoy them so much you don't eat, okay? Please, let's go on and dig in. And as someone who likes to eat out, it's one of our son Jackson's favorite things. We dine out a lot. Some of you have probably seen me in several of the restaurants that are supporting us today. They are Milner's American Southern Cuisine and Cocktails, River Birch Lodge, the Canteen, the Porch Kitchen and Cantina, Rooster's Wood Fire Kitchen, Village Tavern, and the Sherwood. Your cookie on the table, which I already ate mine, is provided by the Little Cake Company, and I promise you it's very good. You also have, your lunch is in a precious little lunchbox supplied by our friends at Source 4. Source 4, are you in the house? If you are, thank you so very much. You continue to be a sponsor of this event and provide us the lunch boxes. I have quite a few at my house. My son-in-law has now started confiscating them to use at his work as well. If you don't have one or you're adding to your collection today, I hope you enjoy this lunchbox as a small token. Also, something fun today, there's markers on your table. You can actually decorate this lunchbox. So if we have any artists in the house or you'd like to take it home to a young artist, get creative and have some fun. There are a lot of other people who make today possible. And I'm going to ask them to stand up, and they're not going to want to, but I really want them to. And that is my fellow board members for both the board of the ABC of NC Foundation and the ABC of NC School. So who's on the board? Stand up, please, so we can all give you a hand. I don't know if it's better that you can see me or not, but we're just going to roll with it. I can tell you that this is an incredibly dedicated group of board members. There are many that have served for years, happily, when asked to stay with the board, say yes. We are bringing on new members. Some you will hear from today as well in our remarks, and these are people that so believe in the mission of the organization, and I'm excited for you to get to hear from one of our board members today. I also want to thank our table captains. A lot of you have been doing this for 17 years. For some of you, this is your first time. Thank you for gathering this group of people together today. It means a lot. But the people that need the biggest round of applause, so I want to hear a big one, is the incredible staff of ABC of NC. If you are a staff member, can you stand up, please, and be recognized? This is only a fraction of the people that are making a difference in the lives of families across the Piedmont Triad. Many of our other employees are on campus today doing what they do best, providing high-quality educational and therapeutic services for autistic children and their families. My husband Richard and I can tell you firsthand that this work is nothing short of life-changing for the student and the family. There will be more testimonials later on. I mean, I could go on all day, but you don't need to hear from me all day. And there will be a closer look at this important work later in the program. My last and probably our most special thanks are to a core group of people that made all of it happen from the very start. Richard Brenner, and with us here today, Felice Brenner, and Mary Louise and John Burgess. They are not only our presenting sponsors for the Gourmet Lunchbox, they are the foundation on which all of this was built. And I am grateful to have people that see a need and jump in and change lives as a part of my family's life and journey. I also want to ask you to look at pages 2 and 3 of your program, if you don't mind, and look at all the other wonderful sponsors that made today happen. They are local businesses, entrepreneurs, companies, people that make a difference every day in the economic engine that is the triad. And what they do and allow us to do with this event is incredible. And that's the impact is almost too much to fathom, and it's not an overstatement. You see, since 2005, ABC has provided more than $3.3 million in financial assistance for families. $3.3 million of financial assistance for families who had little, if no other option to provide quality services for their child. Families that were struggling to help their child find a place in this community. And ABC was there because of generous sponsors, because of generous donors, because of generous businesses in this community that see a need, just as the Brenners and the Burrises did, and jump in and act. So do me a favor. Please look at page 2 and 3. See these sponsors and these businesses. Shop there, dine there, buy there, support them. Because what they do by supporting us allows us to support some of the most precious people in our community. And lastly, it's time for me to say another thank you to you all again. And this also can't be overstated. Your commitment to being here today, and some of you for the 17th time, it's not just the table captains, but the people at the tables. It makes a difference. It makes a difference as we recognize at ABC one very clear, very succinct vision, and that is that all autistic people, the thousands in our community that are on the spectrum, that each and every day their full potential is recognized and they are seen by a world that values them, accepts them, includes them, and loves them exactly for who they are and how they were perfectly made. And someone who has made that her life's work is someone that I have come to admire, knowing her this last, 9 years that we've been back in the Piedmont. And it is my pleasure to invite ABC of NC's Executive Director, Celine Johnson, to the stage now. She's been with the organization for 25 years. And what she does is nowhere short of remarkable. So make it a very warm welcome for Celine.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and a warm welcome to all of you who are here with us today and those of you who are attending virtually. We are truly grateful that you've chosen to spend part of your day with us. And I also do want to just take a moment, thoughts, prayers, positive vibes, whatever we can send our friends and neighbors in the western part of the state and our state neighbors. And a huge thank you to Kaylin and Lisa for making the journey. Their organization and all of their clients have been out of electricity this whole time. And I can't imagine if ABC had to be closed for this long because we didn't have electricity. So just imagine a lot of our kids that use augmentative communication devices, that aren't able to access those while they have no electricity. And just send up all your good thoughts for folks in this heartbreaking situation. Now on to ABC things. I have the privilege of sharing how our organization is breaking barriers and building acceptance. But before I do, I'd like to take a moment to express a few heartfelt thank yous. And if you don't mind holding your applause until the end, we'll applaud everyone with a big round. First, I'd like to thank our Director of Development, Erin Barksdale, Sorry, Erin Richardson. She got married right before she started at ABC, and I still call her by her interview name. So sorry, Erin. And the entire development team for organizing this wonderful event. As Michelle said, it's one of her favorite days of the year, and I say it every year. This is absolutely one of my favorites. I get to see friends folks that have been friends of ABC for many years, and some of you it's your first time attending, and you have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the work we do in the community. A big thank you also to all of the staff who helped pack your lunch boxes, set up the tables, and assist with our guest check-in. A special thank you to our dedicated staff, both here and back at our campus, for their unwavering commitment to our mission and the clients we serve. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to the parents and caregivers of our clients, many of whom are here today. Can we ask our parents and caregivers to stand, those of you who are here? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for entrusting us with the care of your children. We know they are your most precious. Oh no, I touched something on this. I hope I didn't mess it up, Kaylin. Okay. We know that they are your most precious folks, and you're leaving them with us every day and allowing us to provide the care. And we do not take that responsibility lightly. To our table captains, thank you so much for bringing your friends, your colleagues, your family to support and learn more about the vital work we do. And a sincere thank you to our board of directors. I personally am so grateful because they provide just invaluable leadership and guidance to help me and our staff in running the organization. Okay, that's all my thank yous. So let's do a big round of applause for all those people. At ABC of NC, we are deeply committed to breaking down the barriers of autism stigma and fostering acceptance for the neurodivergent community. We believe that meaningful systemic change must start from within our own organization. And to truly lead by example, we prioritize creating an inclusive and supportive environment for our staff and our clients. We have many neurodivergent employees that are working alongside us every day. Our commitment to a neurodiversity-informed approach has included hands-on, in-person training on professional development days where we focus on neurodiversity in the workplace. These sessions emphasize the importance of accessibility and the unique needs of neurodivergent individuals, not only those we serve, but also our neurodivergent colleagues. We explore concrete ways to support our diverse team, ensuring that every member of our staff has the resources, understanding, and accommodations they need to thrive. In addition, we continually identify and implement strategies to better support our neurodivergent clients, reflecting our belief that inclusivity and acceptance must be built into every aspect of our work. By equipping our staff with the knowledge and tools to create a more accessible and supportive environment, we aim to be a model for true organizational change in our broader community. Our organization has proudly served the autism community for over 20 years, and throughout that time, we have witnessed tremendous change. The evolution of applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy, and autism care has been remarkable, and we are incredibly grateful and excited to have been part of that journey. We've seen firsthand how approaches to care have transformed, becoming more compassionate, more inclusive, and more effective. ABC of NC has been a leader in our field's evolution, and this progress fills us with optimism for the future of autism care. One constant has been the dedication of our compassionate clinical and educational staff. They have grown alongside the field of ABA, adapting to new practices and embracing innovative methods, always with the well-being of our clients at the forefront. Our commitment has been the cornerstone of our sustainability and our success. And we can't speak about our growth or our success without acknowledging the role of you, our donors, who have stood by us and supported us through every step of this journey. Many of you have been with us since the beginning, when the road ahead felt uncertain and autism care looked very different than it does today. Your unwavering trust and your belief in our mission allowed us to push forward, even during the most challenging times. This is the largest crowd we've had since COVID. So that's one example of the challenging times. We're so glad you're here in person. Your generous support over the years has been nothing short of astounding, allowing us to provide that financial assistance Michelle talked about. It's because of you that we've been able to make such a lasting impact. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being part of this journey. Your continued dedication fuels our mission and enables us to provide the compassionate, innovative care that our community deserves. Now, I am thrilled to introduce our keynote speaker, Kaylin Partlow. I have had the pleasure of hearing Kaylin talk on at least two, maybe more occasions, and I have enjoyed every one of her talks. She has over 2.1 million followers on social media, and she uses her platform as an autistic self-advocate to celebrate neurodiversity, raise awareness, and share important perspectives on issues within the autistic community. In addition to her social media influence, she is a registered behavior technician, or RBT, and she provides therapy to autistic children in South Carolina. So her role is similar to the role of our direct care or RBT staff at ABC. You may have seen Kaylin also on the Netflix Emmy Award-winning show Love on the Spectrum. So we are so grateful to hear her unique perspective and insights. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Kaylin Partlow. We may have a technical difficulty because of me, so hold just 1 second.
Can you hear me? Yeah, that works. Cool. We'll get started. My mother always knew I was different starting at a very early age. I've always struggled with keeping friends, tolerating change, and sorting through sensory input. My mom brought up concerns about autism to the pediatricians, but I like to joke that in the 90s, girls couldn't catch autism, which is why I was diagnosed later in childhood. I've also got a relatively impressive list of learning disabilities. This list is so long that I'll summarize it by telling you I didn't read my first book independently until I was 14 years old. Even today, I cannot do math beyond a third grade level. As a direct result of my educational challenges, when I was 10, my uncle paid for extensive academic and psychological testing in Orlando. My expression in this picture is reflective of the fact that prior to exploring Disney with my family, I had to play with the nice ladies for a couple of days. It was at this time that I received my autism diagnosis. As a little girl, she may know she's different, but not yet have the words to describe how or why. She may only have a few close friends, or she may choose to immerse herself within her interests for hours, collecting endless amounts of information. She might work hard to keep her composure at school. As a little girl, she may know she's different, but not yet have the words to describe how or It's okay. Just give us one moment while we figure this out. As a little girl, she may know she's different, but not yet have the words to describe how or why. She may only have a few close friends, or she may choose to immerse herself within her interests for hours, collecting endless amounts of information. She might work hard to keep her composure at school and around friends and extended family, but when she finally returns to her sanctuary, she may melt down as a result of bottled up emotions accumulated throughout the day. The world around her can feel too loud, too bright, and too smelly. She often finds herself unable to accurately predict the intentions and actions of the people she's close to. Through careful observation of social interaction, she learns to mimic the mannerisms of others. She quickly connects this mimicry with social acceptance from her peers, despite not always being able to perform it reliably. In fact, her inconsistent brand of social niceties, small talk, and reciprocal conversation might be what you saw first if you knew what to look for. Her renditions of normalcy earn unspoken and mostly unconscious ratings by others, ranging anywhere from deserving of an Emmy Award to stiff and uncanny. Entering adolescence, she continues to perfect her craft and is more or less able to mask her social difficulties. Aside from the people closest to her, no one is fully aware of how she struggles to cope with small changes, keep her body still and quiet, and control her emotions. Moving into adulthood and out of the comfort of living with her mother, she finds that sometimes the demands of adult life exceed her current abilities. Adulthood has unearthed the gaps in her skill sets that weren't as pronounced or prohibitive in childhood. Eventually, she learns the word to describe this wasn't weird. The word for this is autism, and she finds the support she needs to continue to thrive. My life was forever changed at the age of 13 when I joined Project Hope's small private school for kids on the autism spectrum. Project Hope is responsive to the individual needs and preferences of students, so they developed an internship for me to work toward various goals in helping the teachers. After receiving my diploma, I became certified as an RBT and have been on staff with Project Hope since I was 18. I have worked with clients as young as 3 and as old as 20. My clinical experience is wide, ranging from teaching individuals who use a device to communicate, to providing community, home, and clinical support for clients with extensive histories of dangerous behavior, to working on higher level social and executive functioning skills at an adult level. As you know, I got the opportunity to participate in the Netflix series Love on the Spectrum. That experience opened several doors for me, but unfortunately, none of those doors had a boyfriend behind them. Instead, one of those open doors led to the expansion, really the explosion of my social media. Before Netflix, I had a decently large following on my Facebook page. After Netflix, it was clear that I needed to expand my content into something with more substance, delivered in a video format. My entire social media presence is dedicated to dispensing the most authentic autism and behavior analytic information any single individual could hope to portray. Many language-abled autistic people like myself feel what we call too different to be normal, but too normal to be different. We can feel as though we have one foot in your world as neurotypicals and another foot in the world of having a neurodevelopmental disability. We have too many skills to be true peers alongside those with more profound symptoms, but yet somehow not enough skills to fit in with non-disabled peer groups. And what I didn't realize until recently was that this stuck in the middle feeling was never a life sentence in limbo. In fact, I'm not stuck anywhere. I can move freely between the two worlds, even if I don't have a zip code in either of them. Instead, I reside on the bridge that connects our two worlds and have the unique ability to deliver messages between them. I'm certainly not the first to live on the bridge, but let's just say my unique ability to translate and run messages between the world of autism service provider and the autistic community is worthy of a pay upgrade. I know some of you are here as autism professionals, and some of you as autism families. Some of you are autism allies, and some of you may not know much about autism at all. Whatever brings you here today, my goal is to share actionable tips and strategies that will fit your needs in some way.
Professional development is supposed to be like trying on clothes. You go into the fitting room with a bunch of ideas and strategies, and the goal is to be open to trying on each of them. In the end, only you can decide which ones fit your unique circumstances.
Nothing in this world is meant for me.
Not meant for you.
Clothes are not meant for me. I'm joining a nudist colony.
There are times we try stuff on and get excited because it's exactly what we needed. And there are times when trying on pants makes you realize what you actually needed was a hat.
Along with excesses in repetitive or restrictive behavior, an autism diagnosis requires deficits in social communication. It's estimated that 40% of people on the autism spectrum are non-speaking. Language deficits can also be observed to varying degrees in the remaining 60%. Even those of us on the spectrum who have strong language abilities tend to need communication to be direct and concise. I can tell you from personal experience that direct communication builds trust. My most trustworthy relationships do not require me to pick up on implied meanings, indirect requests, or the not-so-mutual understanding of social customs. Autistic individuals often struggle with answering broad, open-ended questions. After Love on the Spectrum aired on Netflix, I was getting several interview requests every month. Almost every time I got the question, what was it like to be on the show? My mind flooded with the millions of ways to respond to that question. What was it like to deal with the filming equipment? To go on a date? To interact with the public? I was motivated to answer the questions correctly, even if it was just a matter of opinion. I was hypersensitive to any modifiers the interviewers might include. For example, if the interviewer asked, what was your experience like preparing to be filmed? I would say that the preparation was incredibly stressful. We had to clean the house extensively, take measures for COVID, buy new date outfits, and coordinate appointments to suit the schedules of multiple people. But if they had asked, what was your experience with filming like? I would say that the filming was a bit intimidating at first, but the intimidation quickly faded because of how kind the film crew was. Focusing on those specific modifiers could be paralyzing because I didn't want to answer the wrong question.
Today over ice cream, an acquaintance asked me what my cult experience was like. Turns out he was asking about the church I grew up in. Because of the autism, my brain defaults to thinking in extremes. It takes conscious effort for me to see gray areas. He asked about my cult experience, but I didn't have one of those. So I told him the truth, which was that my church experience was all right, but that didn't feel like the right answer. So my brain decided now would be a great time to share that embarrassing story about my purity ring in youth group. We all had purity rings to signify that we were not going to be intimate with anybody before marriage. My dad came for visitation the weekend after I got my purity ring, and he took us to like some woods vacation for a while. Well, I lost my purity ring in the cabin. So when I came back to church the following week, they were like, Kaylin, why don't you have your purity ring? We just got them 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh yeah, I lost it in the woods with my father. But I didn't see at the time how that might be taken. And not because it was an overall reflection of my church experience, but because that answer seemed to best fit into his question. For language-abled autistic people like me, our brains can be paralyzed by broad questions because they aren't specific enough, or our brains can fit in extreme components of experiences to better fit those questions.
I'm fortunate to have the language skills to say, can you be more specific? But many others on the spectrum do not have that ability. Language is one area I've always had strength. This was the reason that the pediatricians told my mom in the 90s that the developmental differences she was observing couldn't be attributed to autism. For adults, it's important to recognize that even language-abled kids may not communicate as clearly as we might like them to.
Ironically, despite having autism, the disorder that complicates communication, I spoke early at the age of 8 months, and I haven't shut up since. I've got words for days. Don't like my words? I've got different ones. Other autistic people are not always so lucky. They can't just change their wording if it doesn't come out right the first time. In fact, many can't even word to begin with. Because of this, I'd like to offer you some translation from my own perspective. Some autistic people can't say, I need sensory pressure right now. Instead, they may tense up their muscles, roll around on the floor, or insist on wearing a jacket. Some autistic people can't say, I feel overstimulated. Instead, they might become hyperactive or withdrawn and quieter. Some autistic people can't expand on an explanation when asked for clarification. Instead, they may get defensive, louder, or even combative. Some don't know how to say, I feel distressed when you don't understand what I say because I'm afraid I don't have other words to explain it any better. Consider this to be your reminder that autistic people seeking to get their needs met is not always done in a way that's palatable for other people. Sometimes it's not even understandable by other people. If you're in a position to help autistic people self-advocate, watch for these moments that don't initially feel like self-advocacy because that's where it's needed the most.
language can also have difficulty describing a sequence of events. When you ask what happened, you may get parts of the story, but in the wrong order or missing crucial details.
Chances are, if an autistic person struggles with language, they'll also have a really hard time describing a sequence of events. They may leave out important details or give information in an order that doesn't really make sense.
Can I tell you something? Today, the teacher said I was going to be in trouble on the bus, and Ben called me annoying.
As a language-abled autistic person myself, here's what I do to help my clients who struggle with this. When I hear a story that has a middle but no beginning or end, I usually write out the parts I understand for my clients to see. Can you tell me the story of what happened with Ben on the bus? I've noticed my clients will often describe the actions of other people and how it made them feel, but they usually leave out what led up to those actions, how other people responded, and the effects of it. On the bus with Ben, he calls you annoying, and the teacher said you'd get in trouble. What was happening right before he said that?
I was singing because I love to sing, and I'm really good at it.
You were singing. Ben called you annoying, and then what happened next?
I told him that's really rude, and it hurts my feelings, and if he kept saying it, I was going to punch him.
When I know how the situation ended, I'll summarize to make sure that my understanding matches their perception. You're on the bus with Ben. You're singing. He says it's annoying. You told him that's really rude to say, and if he says it again, that you're going to punch him. And then the teacher said that you would get in trouble for punching. Is that right? When I get the full picture, I can better understand where specifically they need to be supported.
Notice that my questions are very specific. Your best chance at mutual understanding is to be direct in your communication. Let's look at a basic example of this.
How to communicate with autistic people, a step-by-step guide to being direct. Step 1, think of the message you want to communicate and then verbalize it. Here's an example. Okay, Melissa is exiting the door. She sees that Jay is standing in the way. She thinks of the message she needs to say. She verbalizes it, excuse me, but Jay doesn't move. After I verbalized my message and it didn't work, I go to step 2. Ask yourself, what do I really want to say? So she says, watch out, I'm trying to come through. Right, step 3, after 2 unsuccessful attempts, ask yourself, what does the person need to do with this information? So back to our example, Melissa finally asks herself, what do I want Jay to do with the information that I am giving him right now? So she says, take a few steps back, please. Jay, understanding what she wants him to do, takes a few steps back, allowing her to get through the door. Direct communication tells someone exactly what they should do with the information that you're giving them. This eliminates the guesswork, hidden intentions, and implications.
Basically, use verbs to let the person know what to do. If you do that, you're already at step 3. Direct communication sounds like, walk with me. First listen to him talk, then he'll listen to you. Put it down. Tell me about the problem. Look at the menu and then pick one. When aiming to make communication as direct as possible, it's important to get to the heart of what you're attempting to convey. Direct communication eliminates any room for uncertainty or interpretation. Here's an example of what this can sound like in practice.
Okay, today we are going to talk about your personal strengths. What are some things that you're good at?
I don't know. I'm good at a lot of things.
Are you still thinking about it?
See, I got to think of my answer, you know how Jedi are always focused? They have to stay focused in order to know when the Sith are coming using the Force. That reminds me of my answer. I'm good at staying focused doing my work.
By observing his distractibility, we can see that his assessment of his strengths may not be entirely accurate. While this is someone who doesn't struggle with expressive language, he may still be having a hard time interpreting the broad question, what are you good at?
Yeah, staying focused is really important. There's actually 3 ways you can know if you're good at something.
I give a more concrete definition of what I'm looking for to help him be more selective with his response.
You can do it by yourself, or if you can do it very fast, or if you can do it without any reminders. Yeah.
Now that he's got a more complete understanding of the question, I narrow it down further by asking about a specific context.
So I would agree with what you said first, that you're good at lots of things. But let's think about being at home first. What things are you good at home?
Technology. Whenever any time someone needs something to help with a TV, phone, or a laptop, I'm usually good at making it by myself.
That's awesome.
Here's another example. Many parents report having difficulty getting their child to tell them about their day at school. Sometimes the barriers to that are complex, like for children who struggle more significantly with language. Other times, kids say, I don't know, because the question is too broad. They did a lot of things that day, and they aren't grasping the subtext of being asked to talk about something noteworthy. When this is the case, it means that questions need to be more specific, focusing on a certain topic, activity, action, or person. Tell me about the book you're reading in class. What game did you play at recess? Who did you sit with at lunch? If a child gives an incomplete answer or appears to leave out information, a simple "tell me more about that" can be effective in instructing people to expand. Conversation is a separate communication challenge for people on the spectrum. Most adults try to start conversation with children by asking questions they believe the child is likely to want to answer. Who's your favorite Mario character? What are you building with your Legos? What did you do last weekend? Unfortunately, there are many autistic kids who are not responsive to this method. Let's talk about why.
They say if you're getting to know someone or bond with them, you should ask questions. But if you've seen my videos, you know I'm probably getting ready to tell you that's a problem for many autistic people. Questions intended as taking an interest in another person and their activities can be perceived as a social demand. A social demand requires a response on the part of another person to complete a social transaction. To some autistic people, it can feel like the equivalent of me opening candy, attempting to feed it to you. You're expected to eat it, and if you don't want to, you have to tell me no. In place of questions, many autistic people feel more comfortable responding to declarative statements because these are optional invitations to conversation. Instead of, "What's your favorite candy?" or "Are you excited for Valentine's Day?" try, "I'm excited for Valentine's Day because I always get a giant stuffed animal." A declarative statement invites a person to reciprocate if they want to, without an expectation of an answer.
Method usually takes some patience. Remember that declarative statements like this are an optional invitation and do not require a response. They're your bowl of candy, available if wanted, meaning that if the child doesn't immediately reciprocate by telling you their favorite character, you should not repeat your statement or follow up with a question. Instead, try putting out a different bowl of candy. You can do this by presenting a statement on a different topic or by making statements while engaged in an activity. This candy presenting strategy can also serve as a replacement for questions you ask outside of instruction time. You can turn some of those social questions into declarative statements. Again, this invites the child to participate in conversation, but isn't perceived as a demand. This makes it clear that a response is not required, but would be welcomed. "Where is your Mario toy?" becomes, "What should we build?" becomes, "How was art class today?" becomes. These inviting declarative statements are focused on you, your thoughts, ideas, opinions, or abilities, rather than the child's. As you know, we cannot eternally tiptoe around the need to respond to direct questions or requests. However, too many kids miss out on engagement due to extreme avoidance of perceived social demands. This method allows us to provide valuable interaction until our kids perceive social demands as more social and less demanding. As I try to form connections with the learners I serve, I'm always looking for ways to add value to their experiences.
The secret to connecting with autistic kids is finding ways to add value to their experience. Here's what that doesn't mean. Who's your favorite character? What are you making? Turn that video off. Let's go to the playground instead. Now, here's one of countless examples of what it could mean to add value.
Where does it match?
No.
Not there. I found the match.
I found the match.
Next piece.
Next piece.
I'm modeling language that narrates his experience with the extremely important caveat that I'm not demanding or expecting a response. If he uses the language I give, great. If not, that's cool too.
Where is it? I got it. Next, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I do. Some bricks.
Bricks. More bricks.
More bricks. I see what we're missing. Looking for it.
Oh no.
No. There's dark bricks.
Let's do dark bricks.
I love dark bricks.
Let's try.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits.
I offer solutions when challenges arise rather than demanding that my idea be accepted.
Childhood, I've always had a hard time with change, especially as it relates to my schedule. From the time I wake up until I go to bed, my brain likes to run through all my scheduled events over and over. I'm imagining myself going through my next activities. I'm picturing in my mind the roads I'll take on my way to work, the room I'll set my things in when I get there, and all the other people who might be in there with me. I'm imagining myself sitting in a specific place at lunch. I'm picturing the specific sweatpants I'll change into when I go home, and I'll even imagine where I'll lie on the floor as I scroll through social media. Most professionals will tell you the best way to help someone on the spectrum deal with change is by giving them advance notice to allow them to prepare for an upcoming alternative. As someone on the spectrum, I agree with that 100%, but I want to tell you why it helps from my own perspective. As I mentioned, my brain likes to run through the activities I have coming up. This isn't something I consciously set out to do. This is just something that my brain does in the background all the time. When an abrupt change occurs in my routine without any notice, I find my previously established mental images crashing down. I've constructed such a detailed mental picture of what I was expecting that I find it hard to readjust. It's usually best practice, obviously with some exceptions, to give autistic individuals as much notice about an upcoming change as would be helpful to them. Did you catch that I didn't say give as much notice as possible? When people have co-occurring anxiety disorders, and statistically most of us do to some degree, knowing about minor changes months or weeks in advance may only increase the level of anxiety. Getting to know the sweet spot for advance notice of change will depend on the individual. Being able to reimagine myself going through an alternative plan is a skill I've had to develop over time. Many people on the spectrum will need assistance talking through the change. People often ask me, but what do we do when we can't give notice? When an unexpected change occurs, presenting information in a concise and direct way, along with an explanation of why, is most helpful. Scary situations become less scary when we fully understand what's happening and why. Many of us experience the feeling of loss of control in response to a change. This can set the stage for disruptive or even dangerous behaviors in an attempt to regain this control. This is where the power of choice comes in. Giving people choices, even if they seem small, can return the feeling of control and help them navigate their responses.
Ian has been working on making coffee as a part of his vocational training. This is his favorite task because he always makes some for himself at the end of the work period.
Hey Ian, I just want to give you a heads up that we're out of coffee today, so you'll need to pick something different. I can see that's frustrating for you. I know how much you like doing coffee. Running out of coffee was unexpected, okay? So today our options are going to be to restock our snacks or take inventory. We can make sure coffee's on our list for the next time we go to the store, okay? All right, take some time, think about your options, and let me know when you're ready to make a choice, all right? I'm here if you need any help. What did you pick? Did you want to do inventory or restock the snacks?
Restock the snacks.
Okay.
Ian may need some time to make an alternative choice. After he clearly understands the options, it's best to give him some space to process them. Restating the options or negotiating the coffee issue may increase his frustration. Validate the frustration, offer choices, and wait.
You might be surprised that many autistic people perceive an unexpected change as being told no to something they want. Many of us have specific expectations of how a situation or event will take place. Sometimes these expectations in our heads can be unreasonable, impossible, and uncommunicated. Personally, I run into this reoccurring problem surrounding weekend plans. I've got a plan in my head of where I want to go, who will come with me, and what we'll do. I often forget to loop those other people into the plan, so when they're unavailable or circumstances change, I tend to get upset. Hearing no can result in a shattered mental image. When I work with clients who show signs of being upset as the result of a request that cannot be granted, I'll give an empathy statement to show that I understand what they want and how they feel. This could sound like, I know you really wanted the thing, and I'm really sorry. Next, I'll tell them when their request could be granted. If you think about it, when we're told no, it doesn't mean never. Most no's just mean not right now. Saying something like, that would be a great idea for when the sun is out, tells the person under which conditions the request could be granted. I'll often provide a visual to confirm that I understand the request and I plan to help them follow up on it at another time. This could be as simple as writing down the request for them to see or taking a picture of the activity they wanted. Last, I'll remind them of what the current available options are to support them in making an alternative choice. This could sound like, right now we could read a book or play in the backyard. This might require some patience on your part. You may need to give them time to process their disappointment, knowing it might be packaged in the form of anger.
In the same way that the statement calm down has never helped anyone to actually calm down, the statement be flexible has never helped someone on the autism spectrum who needs predictability.
Are you ready to go to the store?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot. We actually have to visit a friend tonight instead.
But we go to the store every Sunday. What am I going to pack for lunch tomorrow?
Let's be flexible. I've been planning this for weeks. I just forgot to tell you.
Autistic people struggle with this thing called psychological flexibility, which just means it's hard for us to shift our thinking.
Right, but we go to the store every Sunday.
If you wouldn't expect someone to stop crying after telling them to calm down, you shouldn't expect someone on the spectrum to shift their thinking after telling them to be flexible.
It sounds like you're concerned about having something to pack for lunch. Since this Sunday is different, would you rather order grocery pickup or get takeout food and do the store tomorrow?
Giving people choices can help them navigate their responses and shift their thinking. Change sucks, choices can help.
Part of the diagnostic criteria for autism includes restricted and repetitive behavior. This category encompasses the need for sameness and insistence on routine we so often see from autistic people. In a world that feels chaotic and unpredictable, sometimes we cling to the parts of our lives we can anticipate and control. Routines can be important to autistic people because they may be the only time we truly feel in command of the outcome. Completing a familiar routine is comforting in the same way that snuggling up with a warm blanket, drinking tea, and sitting by the fire is comforting. In contrast, an alteration to this routine can feel like the equivalent of discovering cat pee on the blanket, damp wood only smoking, refusing to burn, and accidentally choking on the tea that you inhaled rather than swallowed. You had anticipated warm feelings and cozy vibes, only to be cold, disgusted, and seemingly gasping for air. Gasping for air in the least life-threatening way, but that doesn't make it feel any better as it's happening. Routines are comfortable, however, high levels of rigidity are not, nor are they sustainable. The rigidity that can come for the need for routine can certainly cause problems. However, it is possible to build routines that inherently incorporate a certain amount of flexibility. When possible, I recommend developing a consistent routine, but make sure that your routines include categories of activities, rather than the activities themselves. By focusing on categories, you can intentionally include a rotation of activities that build in flexibility while maintaining the comfort of a routine. When I do this in a clinical setting with my clients, for example, we might do playtime, a couple of work activities, followed by a locomotor game, and ending with a break. Choose an option from the category of activity, but we're not stuck in a routine that requires a specific activity over and over because we rotate the chosen options within the category. I define a meltdown as an emotional or behavioral response to an overwhelming situation or event. A meltdown and its triggers will look different for each person. Generally, when a meltdown occurs, it indicates that the demands or expectations of a situation exceed a person's current level of ability.
Feeling intense emotions can make even the most basic communication more difficult. When I'm extremely upset, I feel like a sinking boat taking on water. All of my resources or coping skills are on top of the water. They're my oxygen. As my boat begins to sink, it compromises my ability to access the oxygen, making me act frantically to maintain control. If the boat takes on too much water, I am too upset. I can no longer reach my coping skills. I cannot reach the oxygen. I have to wait until I'm able to calm down or swim back up to the top before I can communicate properly or problem solve in a constructive manner. As my boat goes down, one thing I've learned to do is reach for a paper or a keyboard. I found this to be a constructive way of expressing my feelings. Whether those feelings are just for my eyes to read or if they're shared with others, writing is a better way for me to communicate. People in my life can attest to the fact that this is a strategy I use sometimes to resolve conflict when my emotions run too high. Interestingly, the flip side is also true for me. All of my most thoughtful expressions of admiration, appreciation, and sympathy come in a written format. Even for autistic people who have fluent language abilities, providing alternative forms of communication can be really helpful in certain circumstances.
As human beings, we each have different amounts of tolerance for certain issues. For example, some of us perform really well under pressure. Having an important deadline or being observed by a group can motivate us to concentrate or work harder. Personally, my tolerance for working under pressure is pretty high. Most of the time, I'm able to push through things even when I'm feeling tired, hungry, or sad. And when a challenge arises, I have a fairly robust skill repertoire I can use for problem solving. I know how to ask others for help, I can take a break when I need one, I can switch tasks if I get tired of the one I'm working on, and I can wait until someone's available to help. Last October, I went to Chicago to speak to a school about autism. I added a few days to that trip for sightseeing. Remember that robust skill set I mentioned having? I used every ounce of it to rent a car, navigate the city, plan meals and activities, deal with traffic, handle getting away from unexpected situations, and manage my time effectively.
I got it! Did it! Look at me, being an adult. Driving in a parking garage, renting a car, not running over pedestrians. It's the most adult thing I think I've ever done.
That trip was fun, but arguably one of the more difficult adult experiences I've had to date. In terms of tolerating stressors, I was really doing the most. We got lost on the way back to the airport, didn't have enough time for lunch, we were unable to get a souvenir, which used up the remainder of my tolerance. When I boarded the plane and realized I didn't get the window seat, despite intentionally booking one, my tolerance level was at a 0. While that robust skills repertoire for problem solving includes asking others for help when a situation arises, I do need at least a little bit of tolerance left in order to access that repertoire. As a result of having used up the last of the tolerance in the previous 48 hours on all of the nonsense that goes with travel, profanities came flying out of my mouth, and my fist went flying into my face. Thanks to my travel companion, the window seat problem was easily solved by politely asking to switch seats with a kind stranger. This is certainly a problem I knew how to solve in isolation, but when combined with my stress tolerance being at a new all-time low, I skipped over that part completely and instead went straight into a meltdown. I've observed similar challenges in some of the clients I work with. This year, my therapeutic schedule includes a 10-year-old girl who has developmentally appropriate language abilities, but extreme social and executive skill functioning deficits. After a particularly long and challenging day of dealing with the drama that are fourth grade girls, my client had also reached a place of no more tolerance. When a classmate insisted on playing with the most fun toy in the whole school by herself, my little friend could not contain her outrage. Instead of asking an adult for help, attempting to negotiate with the classmate, or choosing something else to do, my client opted for trying to rip the toy away from the other girl while screaming at her all the reasons why she was the meanest kid in the universe. Surprised at the situation, I de-escalated the conflict and invited my client to take a walk with me. As I asked about what got her to that point when she knew other ways to solve the problem, she explained how tough her day had been before I got there. Like me, my little friend felt badly for how she reacted in the moment when she had other tools she could have used instead. Having a lower than usual tolerance for stressors doesn't excuse inappropriate behavior, but it does explain it. This explanation is not meant to serve as a way to avoid consequences or responsibility. Rather, this explanation allows us to move forward, make amends, and better plan for the future. Autistic people often have skill deficits in advocating for their needs, tolerating stress, and sorting through sensory input. Adding a poor night's sleep, hunger, or irritability can be the perfect storm to create a severe emotional or behavioral response. In my case, because I'm so language abled, I can usually advocate for myself. However, add in a long day at work, coupled with a few changes in my nightly routine, and suddenly a conflict with my roommate can easily turn into a situationally disproportionate emotional explosion. Without the added stressors, I could normally hear out the conflict scenario and help with problem solving. Unfortunately for me, the daily stressors of life can suck me in. At that point, my autism inhibits my ability to recognize internal cues that should tell me to take a step back and make an adjustment so that a meltdown won't occur. With all that in mind, let's talk about what to do about it. We need to be aware of triggers and contributing factors so that we can make adjustments before a meltdown happens. Before is important because once you've reached a meltdown state, you've lost your teaching opportunity. People cannot learn new information when they are in an emotional or behavioral crisis.
Time to go home.
What? No, I'm not going home.
I don't think I want to play this game anymore. I'm gonna go
You
do
have to
something
play
else.
with me. You have to play with me. Are you?
I'm gonna go.
You have to play with me.
I hate it for you, but if you're here, whatever it looks like for the people in your life, you've lost your teaching opportunity. When someone's in an emotional or behavioral crisis, they cannot rationalize anything you're saying. I think of it like baseball. When they pitch the ball and it's hit out of play, that's a foul ball. Players don't ever try and coax the ball a little closer to where it should have gone. Instead, they throw it back and do the whole thing over again. Supporting autistic people should be the same way. Teaching can only move forward when a person's emotions are in play. Just like the batter needs to wait for the foul ball to be thrown back, those providing support need to wait until the tense moments have passed before attempting to teach emotional regulation or problem-solving strategies. That said, I'm not suggesting that folks in a support role just stand around and wait. Go get the ball and throw it back. The baseball game represents effective teaching. The ball's position represents a person's emotional state. The game only moves forward when the ball is in play.
We can't attempt to teach someone emotional regulation or problem-solving skills when they're upset. They won't hear you, and they are extremely unlikely to retain the information. Can't teach skills during a meltdown, let's talk about what we can do. When someone is extremely upset, the number one objective must be to help them return to their baseline of calm. Acknowledging someone's big feelings can help them feel heard. Generally, when people feel heard and understood, they're less likely to engage in behaviors seeking negative attention. I'll be the first to admit that my own emotional and behavioral responses during a meltdown can be over the top considering the situation. But it's possible to validate and understand someone's feelings without justifying their response. You can offer understanding and compassion in the form of empathy statements. During a meltdown, people can feel as though they have no control over the situation. To restore that sense of control, it's helpful to offer them 2 to 3 reasonable options. Ideally, these options should be ones that promote calm behavior. These choices can also include offering the person help with calming down, such as giving a hug, turning down the lights, or working together on problem solving. The general strategy is tell the person what things you're able to do and allow them to choose an option. This could sound like, I can tell you're upset about the change in schedule. I can help you by telling you what's happening next, getting you started on your next task, or by giving you some time to yourself. Notice how these are all declarative statements. Again, you might need patience. They may not make an immediate choice. In that case, wait, ride out the storm a little longer, and then reissue your offer. As you probably know, people on the autism spectrum have various sensory needs. Sometimes their bodies require more input, making them sensory seekers. Other times, their bodies require less input, making them sensory avoiders. Like everything else, this is highly individualized and subject to change based on the conditions the person is experiencing at any given time. Here's an example of a therapist helping a teen getting his sensory seeking needs met.
Practicing self-advocacy with autistic teens.
It looks like... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. What did you want? Okay, here it comes. Hello. I can totally give you a hug, but I think what you wanted more was... Your head, you want some pressure? Some pressure on your head. Pressure on your head.
For me, I'm usually a sensory avoider. I use headphones and earplugs to reduce sound, I wear sunglasses to reduce light, and I avoid overhead lights when possible. However, there are times, especially when I haven't exercised recently, where I start to seek out stimulation. This looks different depending on the context, but sometimes I find myself seeking sensory input in order to help me complete my daily tasks.
Because if your autism is too spicy and you can't pack your snacks for going to Miss Lisa's house, you know what really helps?
What helps?
The Spanish alphabet! The alphabet is easy to learn. Speak in rhythm, each letter gets a turn. Speak in rhythm. It be working. We be packing the lunch.
Yeah, okay.
Pack that lunch. Pack that lunch. Pack that lunch. Pack that lunch. That's a lot like jump the wall, isn't it?
I was thinking that too. I want this one help people.
There we go.
Yep,
Snacks
it
are
works.
facts.
See, autism, not too spicy.
Helpful to understand that someone engaging in loud or hyperactive behavior like mine might be seeking out sensory stimulation. It's important to ensure that sensory needs are met, ideally with activities that don't get on everyone else's nerves. To do that, we have to identify the sensation they're seeking, then attempt to replicate it in a way that's safe, sanitary, and socially acceptable. My experience as a therapist, many kids who are sensory avoiders are far more likely to ask others to stop talking than they are to go to a different room. It's important to teach them strategies to modify their own behavior to reduce sensory input. What they find offensive is often pretty normal to the people around them. While advocating for their sensory needs is an important skill, it's equally important to be able to generate solutions to problems that are within their control. We don't get to decide what others do, but we can control what we do. If someone is being too loud, you might ask them to quiet down, but you could also put on headphones or go to another room. Whichever way a person swings in terms of sensory preference, it's important that they know a variety of healthy ways to get what they need. You might work with them to create a visual menu of options to safely seek out or avoid a particular sensation. Seeing which options are available can help kids to make a choice and communicate that choice to someone who can assist them. Textbook definition of perseveration is the continuation of an experience or an activity without the appropriate environmental stimulus. In other words, perseveration is the needless repetition of words, thoughts, and actions. Perseveration is common in people with autism, ADHD, anxiety, OCD, and other disorders that affect cognition. We all experience that uneasy feeling of being stuck on something from time to time. Perseveration is what's responsible when you mentally replay that awkward encounter you had with your ex a few months ago. Perseveration is what's responsible for when you reread an email 10 times before you can send it. But seemingly, like everything else, it can be more of a challenge for autistic people. Perseveration comes from a place of anxiety and is associated with feelings of restlessness and worry. These uneasy feelings are what separates perseveration from autistic special interests.
If 1 is feeling like you have Ebola and 10 is inviting a bodybuilder to arm wrestle, how would you rate your health in this moment? Did you sneeze? Have you taken vitamin C yet? Everyone gets stuck in a mental loop from time to time. However, if you've seen my videos, you know I'm going to tell you why it's worse for autistic people. Our heightened sensitivity tends to mean that we can absorb details that others miss, making it more difficult to let go of certain thoughts or experiences. Misunderstandings or even small disruptions in routine can trigger a perseverative response as the brain tries to sort through it. So here's how I help my clients when they're dealing with perseveration. It just keeps playing over and over in my mind. I hear you. I worry a lot about my friends when they're sick too. I keep thinking Adam is gonna be sick again. Yeah, you care a lot about Adam, but since we already talked about how he's better now, let's work on getting your thoughts unstuck. Let's find something to do that makes our bodies move and our minds focus. I can't focus because I keep thinking about it. I know. So should we do Twister or a workout video? I love Twister. Perseveration is going to happen more in autistic people. A short-term fix is, number 1, set a timer and allow yourself to kind of get it out for a few more minutes. And then number 2, find an activity that requires both movement and concentration to get yourself temporarily unstuck so that you can hopefully move on a little sooner.
Recap, step 1 is to set a timer to get it out. This could include allowing the person to talk through their thoughts, giving space for repetitive actions, or answering repetitive questions. When the timer goes off, the second step is picking an activity that requires movement and concentration. This could include stretching, doing an art project, or listening to music. Doing an activity that requires movement and focus helps people get unstuck because, as a general rule, human brains suck at multitasking. This is why nearly 4,000 people in the United States die each year from texting and driving. Our brains can't do 2 things at once, which is bad news on the road, but can be used to our advantage when it comes to moving on from perseveration. There's a popular phrase that floats around the autism community that you may have heard before: presumed competence. It comes from the idea that even if a person has limited verbal ability, it does not automatically mean that they have limited intellectual ability. This catchy phrase is making its way into classrooms, and that's why I'd like to challenge it a little bit. If I asked you to imagine a competent driver, you'd probably think of someone who's passed driver's ed, gotten their license, and can confidently navigate under a wide variety of conditions. But if I asked you to imagine a potential driver, you'd probably think of a student who's currently building skills to pass their driving test. For our students, autistic or not, presuming competence in any area before they demonstrate fluency will lead to frustration for us and for them. When I work with my clients, I instead presume potential. I approach instruction with the belief that they have the potential to be successful. I recognize that this is only a minor shift, but here's why it matters. This year, I've been providing support in a 4th grade classroom during art. The students all have an autism diagnosis, and in terms of language ability, most of them are conversational. By 4th grade, it's reasonable to assume that most kids are familiar with using paintbrushes, so assigning a project that requires painting shouldn't be an issue, right? At least that's what the art teacher thought. To her surprise, when it came time for the students to change colors on their paintbrush, one by one, each of them groaned in frustration. None of them knew how to do it. Strokes of 4 different colors mixed together produced a brownish hue that no one anticipated, and an overly soaked wet paintbrushes made sloppy puddles on the page that certainly none of them wanted. Statements like, "Oh no, it's ruined," and "Why is my paintbrush doing this?" could be here. Statements like, "Oh no, it's ruined," and "Why is my paintbrush doing this?" and "I can't do it" could be heard from all corners of the room. If we assume kids can, when they don't, it leaves us assuming they won't. In other words, if we incorrectly presume competence, when a child does not rise to the occasion, we may believe it's because the child has made a willful choice to do poorly. Alternatively, if we assume kids could, when they don't, we're empowered to explore ways they would if they took a different approach next time. In other words, if we presume the child has the potential to succeed, when they do not rise to the occasion, we're already set up to problem solve the barriers so that they might be successful next time. In my opinion, the practicality of the phrase presume competence is really just meant to be used as a polite way to say, don't treat disabled people like idiots just because they look or behave differently than you. And don't get me wrong, that's a message that plenty of people still need to hear. Though, from my perspective, what you need to hear is that we can all acknowledge our students are not yet competent drivers just by virtue of them being students. Instead, they are potential drivers, each with the capacity to learn to do new things in the right environment. After touring ABC of NC yesterday, I can tell you that they provide the right environment, and I'm proud to be here to support this group. Hear more of my thoughts by following me on social media. Also, I just wrote my first book, Life on the Bridge, published through Project Hope, and now available on Amazon. I have some copies with me and will be signing them after lunch. Thank you for your time and attention.
How about another round of applause for Caitlin? Caitlin, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom, because it really is. It's things that we all can take home and back into the community. Hearing from self-advocates like Caitlin encourages all of us to embrace and celebrate our unique differences, be kinder and more accepting. When our Jackson was diagnosed in 1998, our family felt pretty alone. It was kind of the dark ages of diagnosis. We didn't know anyone else on the same journey, but that would change. And Richard and I would find comfort in talking to other families that were walking a similar path. Today, thanks to a very talented group of folks at View to Zero production company, you'll hear from families whose children are currently receiving services at ABC of NC. Their comments are honest and their vulnerability shines through. And some of these families are here today, and they are to be admired and applauded for being willing to go there with us. It's important that we hear their stories. After the video, we're going to be joined by Kylie Jones. Kylie is currently a ABC of NC employee, and she's going to talk about her journey with the school and with our students. And then you will hear from Sid Marie Ojeda and her husband. Oh, Sid is on the board with me, and her husband, Ruben, who are a current client family at ABC of NC. And their stories, what you'll see in this video, what you'll hear from Kylie, what you'll hear from Sid and Ruben, or why we are here today.
It's been challenging because we have two kids who are both autistic, who have similar but dissimilar needs. So when Ayush was diagnosed, I think I already knew things that started jumping out to me that were suggestive of autism. He wasn't talking. He had lost some words that he was saying. So he got diagnosed at 18 months. And when Ahan was diagnosed, which was almost 6-7 months later, I was happy that we finally knew and we could get him the help that he had needed. But you're like, now you have two children who are autistic and you don't know what the future is going to hold for them.
There's a long way to go.
We started looking for a diagnosis for Chloe when she was about 3. We were noticing that she couldn't get her words out to express what she needed. I was just like, I know there's something there. And my mother actually was one, she was like, I think she might be autistic. So I would just tell myself it's going to be okay. I know I've been worried about making sure that I could give her the things that she needed.
I know you're starting slow.
It was kind of heartbreaking because when they get to high school, people start to notice the difference and they could be bullied and he could fall into a depression, and we have to be there for him and we have to be his support. And that was probably the most heartbreaking thing that I heard. I don't care that he's got a diagnosis of autism, but I need my baby to survive.
Just don't give up yet, please. Ooh, pure beauty lies within. Ooh, come see you through my lens.
ABC of NC is a nonprofit autism services provider. On our campus, we have a non-public school serving children preschool through high school. And we also have an autism clinic where we provide counseling services for autistic people who may have co-occurring mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. We also provide intensive one-on-one applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy. And we have comprehensive services, meaning speech language therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy that are available so that families can access services more easily.
There aren't a lot of places that sort of offer these kinds of services, and the public school system can only offer so much. And I knew that she needed a place that could sort of give her everything all in one. She could get her ABA therapy here. She could get specialized school instruction that caters more to what she needs. It was just the perfect place for her.
Just in my pediatric practice, I see a lot of autistic kids who are in different schools, and I feel sometimes are just existing. They just are there because they have to be there. But when we come here, I feel my kids are seen.
When I enter ABC's campus, I just feel overwhelmingly happy. Everyone's so friendly. Everyone's so warm. Everyone tells me how much they love Chloe. And it's really comforting knowing that all these people love my child so much and that they're there for her.
They truly believe in the mission. They truly care for the kids here. I feel like my kids are loved here.
You could see that they understood everything he was going through.
You knew that Killian was in there, but you just had to figure out how to tap into him and how to open that door. I just love knowing who my son is.
Show me where your darkness lies. You don't ever have to hide. Or you can be yourself. Yeah, you can be yourself.
For the past several years, we've been placing a strong emphasis around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We call DEIB, because we employ and serve folks from a variety of diverse backgrounds.
It's very important for our staff here at ABC to be committed to our DEIB efforts to ensure that everyone who enters our campus feels safe, accepted, and included.
The main thing for me that made ABC of NC stand out from all the other schools was acceptance. They accepted him for who he was and where he was on his journey. Here at the campus, there's a lot of diversity, and they treat everyone with respect and with kindness and with love.
Oh, you can be yourself. Yeah, you can be yourself.
Many times when families enter our campus, they will tell us this is the first time that I've ever felt that people really understood who my child is, the first time they've had hope that their child could reach their full potential, and that there are people out there who will really value and respect their child for the individual that they are.
We are not trying to take away from who they are, but we are trying to add value or add some skills that will make them more successful in achieving their best potential.
Chloe has benefited from ABC so much. It's just easier for her to get through life and to navigate herself through challenges.
They've somehow took it a step further. I mean, this kid's speaking sentences to us. He's just full on in the room present with us. Because of ABC of NC, I can talk to my son.
After spending time at ABC, autism is just a descriptor of Chloe, in the same sense that she's autistic. She's outgoing, she's happy, she's beautiful, she's musical, she's athletic, she's everything that she is.
Who knows you better? Who could love you anymore? You can trust me completely. I'm just asking for you to be yourself. Oh, you can be yourself.
I feel like we went from having kids I didn't know what they were going to do to seeing a lot of potential. There will always be hope And that is what we found at ABC of NC.
Hi, my name is Kylie. I'm an assistant program supervisor here at ABC of NC. ABC reached out to me a few weeks ago asking for me to speak at this year's luncheon, and without a doubt, I said yes. I have so much admiration and love for this company, and I will always advocate for ABC and the incredible work that we get to do. I hope that today you've gotten a glimpse of why this company is so special. I was a college student at East Carolina University when I stumbled across ABA, which is Applied Behavior Analysis. I worked in the ABA field for 3 years before I learned about ABC of NC. ABC was actually part of the development of my former company. And they spoke so highly of ABC, so when I came and toured, I fell in love with the campus. I've worked here for a little over 5 years now, and during this time, they have consistently encouraged my growth. They've pushed me to the highest of standards and continuously provided me with teaching and learning opportunities. This company has put so much time and energy into my professional development within this field. Becoming a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst, is something that I've dreamt about for so long, and I finally get to live out my dream within this organization. Now, I did make this decision just prior to the development of our Burris Brenner Scholarship Program, but thanks to our generous donors and continued financial support, the aspiring BCBAs of the company have this invaluable resource to them. I also love getting to work closely with the parents and caregivers of the ABC of NC clients to develop programming for their children. I love being on campus, teaching staff, and working directly with our clients and ensuring we provide the best possible care. We make it a point to respect and honor our clients' opinions and goals, which is crucial to their individualized programming. Getting to see client progress and hear the success stories that occur on a daily basis is one of my favorite things about this job. Because of local supporters and fundraising events like this one, we have some of the best resources on our campus, including mock community labs such as a dentist and doctor's office, a grocery store, an apartment, and with a full kitchen and full bathroom. And we also have a hair salon. These resources are probably something you wouldn't even consider important in your day-to-day life. But for our families, these resources help us reach milestones with their children. We have been building connections with surrounding school systems to support their staff and students who don't have access to the proper resources they require to reach their full potential in the current school setting. We hold professional development days where our entire company has the opportunity to gather and expand our knowledge about this field. These days are dedicated to universally designed training for our frontline staff to ensure that our clients receive the highest quality of care. And I might be biased, but I believe ABC has the best staff around. ABC's management team works tirelessly to improve the company as a whole and aims to be one of the best ABA providers in the state. I wholeheartedly believe in the work we all do for this organization. I would even argue that we are the best around, but again, I'm biased. Our incredible facility and company wouldn't be possible without all of you, our generous supporters. I encourage you to continue supporting our mission by donating today and at future events. If you can't contribute financially, we understand and would greatly appreciate your support shown through our social media platforms. Every like, comment, or share helps us potentially reach a new person. Before I go, I'd like to introduce our next speakers, Sid Marie Ojeda and Ruben Adorno. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope to see you all next year.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sid Maria Ojeda, and this is my husband, Ruben Adorno, and we are the proud parents of a very special 7-year-old boy named Dylan. Dylan is a happy and healthy boy that enjoys being active. and definitely has the ABC of NC staff in great shape. Sorry, Becky. I know you're here. Dylan was diagnosed when he was 18 months old. And ABC of NC was the first thing that came to mind following his diagnosis. Two of our family members actually attended ABC, and we saw firsthand the difference it made. We knew this journey was going to be challenging, and we knew that ABC of NC was the place for Dylan to reach his full potential. We moved from New York City while Dylan was still on the waiting list at ABC. We wanted to make sure that we were here for when it was ready for him to start. Um, we were that confident that ABC of NC was the partner we wanted to have by our side throughout this journey.
When we get asked what makes ABC special, I say ABC is special because it removes some of the uncertainty of the present and future. One thing that any parent with special needs kids is going to tell you is that everything we knew or every notion we had on our life is going to be changes completely. But everything ABC brings back hope that new normal is possible and that dreams don't need to disappear. They just that impact that ABC had and continues to have is as simple as gave Dylan a voice. Before Dylan started at ABC Offensive, we can honestly say that we couldn't understand our son and that we were not able to fulfill his needs. We were not sure if he was hungry or thirsty. He started to communicate through an AAC device or augmentative alternative communication device, which in this case is an application on his tablet. Also, after working with his team on the autism clinic, Dylan can now visit a doctor, a dentist, and get a haircut every 2 weeks. And he's lucky to have my wife's hair.
We consider ABC of NC a home, and we wanted to continue to be successful to service not only our family, but so many others. I joined ABC of NC Board of Directors a year ago to honor that commitment that our family has with this great organization.
I want to thank everybody here today, especially my family and my friends here today, for supporting ABC of NC and so many family just like ours.
Everybody, we are in the home stretch, but before we get on to the last order of business, another round of applause for Kylie, Sid Marie, and Ruben, and to all the families that shared their journey in that video. When I hear others speak, it always reminds me of how my husband Richard and I felt when our autism journey started. Trying to first getting the diagnosis and then trying to find community and acceptance. And like I've said, and as you've heard me say before, probably if you've ever heard me give my little autism family speech, Jackson's diagnosis was in 98, and that was basically the dark ages of diagnosis and therapy opportunities and things like that. There were few to no specialized programs. There was no ABC of NC, but there were Felice and Richard Brenner. Felice was a young mom on her own autism journey, and in the early aughts, she and Richard saw a need, and they decided to move a mountain. My day job has moved our family twice to the Triad, and we were so grateful when we returned in 2015 that we were able to benefit from Felice's dedication and her family's commitment, and that of so many of you in this room. We found a place that was everything we needed. Let's face it, moving sucks. and it's not good regardless of how you process information. And it was up to that point the biggest adjustment in Jackson's life. Besides us just moving, his best friend, his younger sister was going off to college. He was getting a new room. He was in a new school. He didn't have the familiar routine of the past 12 years in Baltimore. Our sweet boy was lost, and mommy and daddy were pretty much lost as well. But ABC provided us the support we needed so desperately to navigate the changes that were happening in that moment and what was going to happen over the next few years as Jackson moved from the structure of school into adulthood. Um, Everyone at ABC helped him manage his anxiety and his stress from the change in this new life his dad and I had heaped on him, if you will. Mostly his mom, but his dad was a part of it too. Um, we weren't prepared, but ABC was. And because of that, we became a much better prepared family. And we knew that we were supported, that our son was loved, and that he was spending his days in a place filled with encouragement and where he could be included. So we are here today to show support for ABC of NC, a nonprofit that has changed the lives of hundreds of families in the Triad for over 20 years. And frankly, you all make that happen with your donations. Already today, we've reached nearly $80,000 of our $150,000 goal. So, as a member of the ABC of NC family and the autism community, I'm going to ask that you give to an organization that means more than words can ever express. And trust me when I say, and I know people say that all the time, but I witness it firsthand, your generosity is never taken for granted. And it will ensure that ABC of NC can continue to provide quality autism services for families from any economic background. And there are a lot of families out there that are still searching. They're still searching for an ABC. They're still searching for a chance at quality services and education for their children. So please don't leave here without taking a program. That program is intended to be shared with family, with neighbors, with colleagues, with people that are still looking for their soft landing. And you can help them find that. And here's my other ask. If you would consider supporting this mission with a donation, we can go old school and you can leave a check. There's envelopes on the table. If you prefer to use your phone for everything, there's a QR code at the table. You can scan that son of a gun and you can give while you're sitting there eating on that cookie. If you're at home watching us on the live stream, you can text GLL to 41444. I think that's on the screen behind me. If it's not, find me and I'll repeat it to you. I have my notes. And there's lots of other ways on page 8 in your program. Also, for those of you interested, Kaylin's new book, Life on the Bridge, Linking My World to Yours as an Autism Therapist, is available for purchase after the event. That book is filled with wisdom, folks. My husband and I were sitting there talking the entire time, like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But I also have some really exciting news about next year's Lunchbox that I really want you to come back to. How many of you have heard of Temple Grandin? Raise your hand. Temple is is noted for many things beyond being a pioneer in the autism advocacy space. She's also a professor of animal husbandry at Colorado State. Her life was immortalized by Claire Danes in an HBO movie that you can find on demand if you have Max and other streaming services. It is amazing. I thought 98 was the dark ages. Temple and what she did for her time in this world is beyond amazing, and you will want to be here. I promise it will move you. So that's it for me. Thank you today. Thank you for this day and your time and being here. On behalf of everyone at ABC of NC, we are beyond grateful for your support, for your generosity, your stewardship, your continued attendance at this event, because all of it helps us fulfill our mission, which again is crystal clear: to support autistic children and their families, and to create communities of opportunity and inclusion for everyone. Thank you for joining us.